The questions we're now asking is why so frequently? Because on August 25th this year, and later on, sometimes on the 11th of November, we had similar breakdowns, though the one of November was not as major when we had a breakdown of some conductor at Olkaria 2, compared to the one of August when we lost the whole country. So we have been meeting yesterday. When it happened, I was flying in from Dubai, and I experienced firsthand the anger because I was at the airport when the belt stopped, and therefore we could not get our luggages. The generator did not take off immediately, and it's a challenge that as a country we are really ashamed of, and we need to address it. But we do know why the problem is, and we've met as a team today. I went to the National Control Center, and I was there with the whole team, including the chair lady, the PS, and all the senior managers, as they restored the network the whole night. And even as we speak this morning, we are finalizing the restoration. And it is something we must pay attention to as a country, so that we build the kind of country we would like investors to be proud of, the kind of country we would like all of us to be proud of, because when there is no power, it impacts on the health institution, it impacts on every walks of life, and it is not something that anybody would pride of to have this kind of downtimes. I've got a written statement which I will share with you, but allow me to basically go through it very quickly, and we can do the question and answer, because I said we know where the problem is and we are addressing those challenges. We will look at serious maintenance, but the gist of it is lack of investment in the network for a long time. And when I go through my statement, you'll appreciate that the fact that we've continued to connect customers on the last mile, we've continued to build industry, and we've not built the network in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And there is so much constraint in the transmission of electrons from wherever they are generated. And sometimes the network drips when it is overloaded. Yesterday was caused by an overload between Kisumu, Moroni, when there was sudden demand, and the line that between Kisumu and Moroni is dimensioned to carry 80 megawatts. When the line went down, it was carrying 120 megawatts, and suddenly there was a demand of an additional 20 megawatts on that line. For a line to be carrying 149 megawatts when it is designed for 80, it felt threatened, and it dripped and cascaded down to the rest of the country. So on the 10th December 2023, yesterday, at about 7:33 p.m. in the evening, the country experienced a partial blackout on the electric power system, with Musaga substation supplying parts of western region remaining on supply from Uganda. The system demand at the time of incident was 1,732 megawatts, with the hydros performing well, the geothermal performing well. The thermal and wind was at its optimal, and so was the Ethiopia. We have a power purchase with Ethiopia, which we've signed at 200 megawatts. It was transmitting at 194 megawatts at that time. So it was working well at that total. And we had our spinning reserve from the hydros. A spinning reserve is, if anything happens, the spinning reserve will pick up and support the network. So there was enough spinning reserve to be able to support the network. So it wasn't as such lack of adequate power in the system. What was the sequence of events? The Moroni substation is supplied via 2 transmission links, Olkaria, Kibos, Kisumu, Moroni, and the second line, which evacuates most of the hydros from this side, goes to Lesos and Moroni. The 2 lines mainly supply electricity to western South Nyanza and South Rift region. So when Lesos is the hub that supplies Western Kenya, South Nyanza, and South Rift. At that particular time, 7:33 p.m., the Kisumu-Moroni 132 power line tripped, arising from some system constraint. Like I've mentioned, it was having to carry 149, which it could not bear because it is designed to carry 80 megawatts. The loss of the Kisumu-Moroni line led to sudden increase in power flow on the Juja-Lesos-Moroni link, leading to overload at Olkaria, transformer, Dandora-Juja transformer links. This led to a cascade of generation drips, resulting in widespread power outages. However, parts of western region, including Bungoma, Kakamega, Busia, remain on supply from Musaga substation using the alternative source of supply that we get from Uganda. The power restoration started immediately, and by 1 in the morning, 60% of the customers had been restored. You would have noticed, if you were still awake, that at about 11 p.m. at night, specifically 11:53, we had another sudden drip that we were able to restore immediately, because when you're restoring, like I mentioned before, you need to match supply and demand. And we're trying to do it quickly, and there was another drip at 23:53, which was contained very quickly. The Kenya electricity grid is currently operating suboptimally. I asked the engineers, what do you mean by suboptimally? With limited spinning reserves, low inertia, high production proportion of intermittent generation, low hydro generation, and insufficient voltage control. This condition makes the system vulnerable to systems disturbances. I will have talked to the proposed mitigation to remove some of those system constraints. Like, one, the western part of Kenya is serviced, like we said, by Olkaria and the hydros, the 7 cascade hydros, and the transmission links are currently constrained because industry has been growing, the power users have been growing, and we have not upgraded the transmission network. And we are using an 80 megawatts dimension transmission link to transmit 140 megawatts. And you would only expect it to drip to be able to save itself. So what we are doing, members of the media and Kenyans, is we are building a line, an alternative line, to support west of Kenya from Olkaria through Bomet, through Narok, Bomet, all the way to Awendo, to be able to support the transmission that goes through Lesos, like I've mentioned, and therefore be able to remove the constraint and improve the capacity of carrying more megawatts to the western part of the country where we don't have much generation. The loan facility has been signed, and we are ready to start. We're getting funding from South Korea and Africa Development Bank, and we are at the tendering stage, and we should be able to start building that network. However, construction of a network of that capacity is not a quick fix. It will take some 20 months, but we'll be working on how to mitigate the challenge of constraint on the transmission network to be able to avoid the system being overloaded. We are also constructing a new 132 to 33 kV Sondu station or line and substation to further improve the supply to South Nyanza. If we were to have enough time to talk about how we service South Nyanza from Moroni to Chemosit, Sotik, to Kigathi, Ndiwa, and then Awendo, we could actually service by building a direct link from Sondu to Ndiwa and be able to avoid overloading the line going through Sotik to Ndiwa and causing those kind of challenges. We are also increasing the 220, 132 kV transformer capacity at Lesos to evacuate additional power to that from Olkaria to western part of the country and the North Rift region.